Welcome back. We're about 4 months into the season, and Chelsea sits at second Premier League table and 12th Champions League table. And seeing how good they've been so far makes me think how high of a ceiling they have for this season and for the future. The main debate about this team is that the fact they spent billions of pounds to make a team that right now hasn't exactly been great. I think the biggest accolade so far was the Conference League trophy they won last year, and as well that all for finish they had last year. And apart from those two accolades, they haven't really reached anything so far. A lot of people are saying that for the money they spent on building this team around, Chelsea has spent the last 40 years. It is very it's very underwhelming to see them not really do a lot. And I do think, it is right to some point, but I also do think that this team, for the players they have, is doing actually very well. I don't think it's a player's fault, nor the coach's fault, that Chelsea has spent this much money, because Chelsea have not spent £1 million or whatever money they spent the last 3 years on building a team to win trophies. They spent that much money on trying to lure one of the kids into their team. And for a lot of time, just to try to make profit. We see a lot of one of the kids come to the Chelsea team who have gone immediately for loan, and sometimes even some of them have not really even played for Chelsea professionally. So I don't think that this debate of Chelsea spending so much money on a team does not really certify the investment they've made. I don't think it's really on them, because a majority of them were brought in as wonderkids, right? So like Jansu brought in as wonderkid from Benfica, Ivan Cancelo was somewhat brought in as a wonderkid, Cole Palmer was brought in as a wonderkid from Man City, who really wasn't getting that much playing time. So the majority of the signings that Chelsea has made is been wonderkids, and obviously I'm not really surprised to see they haven't done really anything bigger than what they've done last year, because it's normal. They've had a lot of matches going through and leaving. We see a lot of all these players come in with little experience, and trying to adapt to environment is very difficult to adapt. Premier League is very difficult to adapt. It's normal to see this team kind of struggling at the beginning, but I feel like this season we're trying to see things click, right? I think they finally established a core in that squad, and that is David Cabell, Rhys James, Moisés Caicedo, Cucurella, Cole Palmer, and Estevão. Those guys are really the core group, I would say. A lot of them were brought in as one of the kids, right? I think especially Estevão was brought in as one of the kids, Cole Palmer as well. So not really anything, also apart from Rhys James, who also has been at Chelsea for quite some time now. But the majority of these guys who brought in were really one of the kids when they first came at Chelsea. So obviously it took some years or some months to kind of click all together. But this squad is a squad that I really like. Obviously, seeing Estevão, I think it's a player that has a lot of potential as the ceiling to become a world-class winger. Cole Palmer is already probably a world-class player as well. Cancelo is already one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. Cucurella as well, one of the best left-backs in world football. And Rhys James also a guy that when he's fully fit, I think been amazing as well. Obviously, the problem with injuries still can exist in him. But it's a guy that is a club captain, has been amazing for Chelsea. And Levi Cal is also a guy that, especially last year, kind of established as the team's best defender. Obviously, this year got an injury, and as we've seen how big of an impact it has done to Chelsea because of how good he is. I do think there are like two players, one kind of 50-50 on being still scored, and that is Enzo Fernandes and João Pedro. I do think Enzo, obviously, for the amount of money he came from Benfica, also because of the World Cup tax. It amazing World Cup Argentina, I think that maybe got that feel a lot very much inflated. But he also came at Chelsea as a guy that only spent half year at Benfica. Also, the guy with a lot of experience in European football. I do think that it could be worse. We've seen way bigger flops for the amount of money that Chelsea spent. But I do have to acknowledge that he hasn't really been all that for the money he obviously was brought for. But I do think that it's not really been terrible. I think it's very inconsistent. I do think there are some games where it's amazing, then some games where I don't think it's really that good. So for that reason, I'm still a bit cautious about them making part of that core. And João Pedro, I'm a bit more confident in kind of making part of that core group. I do think that obviously it's just now came into the team. And the reason why I'm not putting him in the core group is I don't think Chelsea maybe has the full confidence in him yet. I don't think that obviously not a great goal scoring striker, right? It's a guy that obviously his best strength comes from creativity as he can play. I'm a bit afraid that sometimes Chelsea probably try to bring in a world class striker is able to bang in goals week in, week out. And for that reason, I'm still not really open to putting João Pedro on that core group. This is a guy that his development continues to happen like it's done this year. If his goal scoring numbers skyrocket a bit this year, next year, we'll probably see João Pedro also become part of this core group that Chelsea currently has. In the Prem, I don't imagine Chelsea being able to fight Arsenal for that title. I don't think Arsenal right now is a way better team than what Chelsea is right now. I think a lot of parts of that team of Chelsea kind of just point to me that I don't think they'll be able to really, in the full season, be able to compete against Arsenal. I think the only team which right now, as the squad, as the manager as well, who has like the environment around them to be able to fight Arsenal for the title is Man City. Obviously, I know they're not the City team that they were like 3 years ago. That the dependency on Haaland has probably not become too much. I do think that of all the teams who are behind Arsenal are probably the most likely team to be able to fight off Arsenal. Looking at Liverpool, that 11th, I don't see them coming back and be able to still fight off Arsenal in time. So a lot of factors are put in this. I really mentioned Arsenal this year having an easy run to the title, kind of like Liverpool did last year. Had a very easy run to the title, won it like what 7-6 games in advance. I feel like Arsenal probably have some situation. I think this is a very very good team, amazing defensively, amazing offensively. I don't mention a team that right now is able to go up against Arsenal. I don't think Chelsea also for this year alone be able to beat Arsenal. Now, the main reason as to why I don't think Chelsea will be able to fight off Arsenal in the long run is their depth. I think a lot of people are not realizing that this season is their depth is very, very bad. Looking at the defense, especially with Levi Cowell being out for the title this season, we're seeing such a team that's very weak in terms of those defenders in the middle. You have Chalba and Dawson who are your main center backs. I don't think they are really anything special. You have Achampong, who's a good guy, but still one of the kids, still be raw. And like Fofana, Disasi, and Madashil, three French defenders who brought in. I don't think any of them worked out. Fofana was the guy who's been probably the best player of all three of them. But he's been the guy who's also had the most injury problems. So I don't really see Chelsea being able to really improve this depth problem they have set up back with players from the new team. Even I mean, feel they don't really have André Santos as the midfield backup. Romeo Lavia is a guy that obviously can play as the midfield backup, but he's a guy that's been injured a lot. I think for the start of the season, he was injured, came back, 2 weeks ago, then got injured again. So Romeo Lavia is also a guy, even though he's very good when he plays, I don't think he's really fit to even consider him a part of that depth. Then after the André Santos, probably Evi Sugu is the guy they brought in this summer. I know already is to take on that backup role. Even offensively, you have all those wingers, Brunet, Garnacho, Gittens, and Estevão. I do think that maybe a new winger will kind of offer something different than what Brunet, Garnacho, and Gittens offers. I don't think maybe that's something that's needed. And also, that all that number 10 spot and the forward spot, obviously, there are a lot of strikers. They have Delap, they have Gait, they have João Pedro. Imega's going to come next summer. I don't know how to deal with that situation. But number 10, I don't think we have a direct backup to Cole Palmer. We see normally Jansu playing there number 10. I don't think that's his best decision. Also, we're seeing João Pedro play a lot of times there when Leon Delp is fit. There is an area where maybe João Pedro is able to play really well, but I don't think that Chelsea wants to play him there for the long term. So I also see the number 10 spot as a problem for depth for Chelsea. And we're seeing also last year, I think it will be a very big year of experience for Chelsea. I think Chelsea will have a very similar year, but also as last year. Also went into last year trying to fight for the title against Liverpool, but throughout the entire year, we saw also kind of fade away more and more and more because it didn't really have depth. When we saw inches into to Gabriel, to Saliba, to Saka, to Havertz, to Gabriel Souch, you saw a lot of those players come off the pitch and they didn't really have anyone who was able to go into the team and be able to kind of provide them output they were bringing. I don't think that the main reason as why also failed so much last year was the fact they had no depth. And they saw that. They knew that as well. Because this summer they brought in a lot of depth signings. Mosquera, Gabriel, Norgard, Madueke, all those guys were brought in to try and improve their depth. And now we're seeing also be a team that's first Premier League table, 7 points cleared. And even when like they've had Saka injured, they now have Gabriel injured, they have Saliba injured. Even towards all of that, the have players on the bench were able to come on the pitch and still delivered a lot for them. And that's why they've been so good this season. That's why they are the first Premier League table. That's why like maybe the top 4 Champions League. That's why. And Chelsea right now will probably realize that throughout this entire season, realize that their depth is not really on point, and need to fix that in order for them to win the Premier League title or to contend for the Premier League title. I do think some players on that squad are very injury prone. So really James, I talked about even still being kind of injury prone. Mal Gusto is their backup, but I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's really that great to be a backup to Rhys James. So Cole Palmer is a guy that's been very, very, very injured in the last year. He got injured last year in the middle point of the campaign. He got injured this year, and then he got injured again after recovering. So probably see Cole Palmer is a guy. I think the fitness issues really worries me for Chelsea because Chelsea doesn't really have a backup to Cole Palmer. And Cole Palmer, Chelsea has a very big dependency on Cole Palmer as a main creator. They don't have anyone on that squad who's able to create goals, able to create assists like Cole Palmer has. And against low blocks specifically, we see Chelsea lose a lot of points against low blocks. Karabakh they drew to Champions League. Against Sunderland they lost, they drew 1-1 as well. They dropped some points just because they didn't really have any player who's able to kind of break down that low block. Especially like the wingers were amazing against our defenses. Against low blocks, not really that good. So when your wingers become a bit, how do I say this, become a bit ineffective. When you don't have your main creator and you only created the final third, Cole Palmer is injured, don't really have anyone who's able to create something out of that. I do think that the lack of depth at number 10 has also been a very big reason as to why they dropped so many points, not only in the Prem, also in the European competition. I do think that the main priority for Chelsea coming next winter or next summer is to bring a number 10 who's able to reliably back up Cole Palmer. On Champions League, I do think that Chelsea's ceiling for Champions League right now is probably a semi-final push. Looking at their team and their quality, I see like 5-6 teams that are very much better than Chelsea. Bayern, PSG, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Arsenal, maybe even Inter are teams who I think, in my opinion, are way much better than Chelsea right now. And in a competition like this, where you're facing off against the biggest teams in Europe, the best teams in Europe, it's going to be very much tougher than Premier League offers you. I do think that Chelsea probably won't be able to do anything really spectacular in Champions League. I don't think that maybe there's a possibility they go to the final push. It's a draw is favorable, but either way, they can easily draw. They also have a very tough draw. They could go up against Real Madrid very early on or Bayern very early on, and we could see Chelsea kind of also be knocked out very early in Champions League. And even like right now, they're 12 Champions League table. I think it was four spots into the playoff spots. I probably imagine Chelsea go into playoff spots. Another 2 more games where Chelsea can probably fail, and then also be knocked out very early. So Madrid, so Man City get knocked out very early on Champions League last year because they got Real Madrid in the playoff spot. So I do think that for now, this USL competition, this USL format makes it way much tougher for teams to be able to win it. And Chelsea is a team that I don't think their quality or the experience as well is right there for them to win it or to be able to make a final push. As I said, the experience is also for me a very big down factor for them. For the majority of the players, this is the first time they will play Champions League football. I mean, Rich James and Chalobah, probably the only 2 guys who were on the team that won Champions League. I don't know if Chalobah was even there at that point. Rich James was probably the only player I know very much that he was at that Chelsea team won Champions League. Which kind of mad to say, because we're not that far ago when they won Champions League. But Rich James is really the only guy who was at that point. Looking at all the players they have, even their best players they have, all of them have not played Champions League or played very little times. Like even Jansu, for example, played maybe some games when he was at Benfica, the half year he was at Benfica. Caicedo never played there. Cole Palmer probably played like 1 or 2 games for Man City when he was there. Apart from that, never really did them. Then like Pedro Neto, Estevão, like João Pedro never really played anywhere for Europe. You look at Levi Colwill, never played that. Cucurella never played that. So a lot of these players on this team are still very young, as I said at the beginning, and also don't have any experience of playing at this type of level. So I do imagine all tough might be for Chelsea right now. I do think maybe also playing the Conference League last year, were they able to win opponents very easily, when they were able to rotate midweek against Conference League opponents because it's very easy. Maybe they kind of idea that will meet that hard going to this season. And seeing how big of an impact he was, even playing against Karabakh, and be able to get a win out of those good games. I like that type of experience speaks a lot. I think Rich James is only really guy that has any experience. Even Moresca is a guy that doesn't really have a lot of experience being able to manage Champions League matches. I do see this as more of a learning experience here for Chelsea, both in Champions League and both in the Premier League. Only for the players to kind of learn how it is to play in Champions League, how it is to play against the biggest teams in Europe, also Premier League, in terms of learning what the squad likes to become a really, really good team. I don't think Chelsea's future can go 2 ways. It can go a way where Chelsea will continue to pursue young players, every single win to try to bring in more and more younger players as they possibly can, and they will try to make an effort to make this team more competitive, more experienced, and try to make this team build around that core group and able to go and win trophies. If they do that, they continue to bring in one of the kids, try and make profit off them. It's going to be the same thing. Chelsea will be a team that's able to get a tougher finish, maybe a top 10 finish, maybe a top to finish even sometimes. Can sometimes maybe win a FA Cup or a Carabao Cup. It won't go much further than that. While if they go in the direction of trying to make a squad that's competitive, trying to put around that core squad, try to make some depth signings, some signings that actually fit the team and not really think about the financial aspect of the football, I do think that this team has so much potential to become one of the best teams in the world. I can view them being able to win Premier League titles. I can view them being able to win Champions League titles. I do think that this team, with all the players they have the potential to become the best teams in the world. And Chelsea are smart enough to be able to see that and be able to kind of build the team around what they have right now and continue on that rebuilding process in terms of making a competitive team. They have so much room to do so. They have so much potential for them. They can win so many trophies if they want to. Now falls onto the board to be able to make those decisions and get this Chelsea team on the right direction.